Good evening, everyone. Title Update 2 is now out, and so that means Lagiacrus and Steve are still in the game. So real quick, let's take a look at the armor and weapons, and then we'll talk a little bit about the fights, and just some thoughts on the update overall. So, weapons, Lagiacrus and Seregios weapons both look like they're potentially viable to some degree. Ardian weapons are still a little bit better, but they both actually have a few things about them that make them at least pretty close to top tier. Like, their stats on them are high enough to where you need a decently rolled Ardian weapon to actually beat them. They'll still be beaten out by a good, well-rolled Ardian weapon, and Gunlance, it's a weird one anyway, so it's not like you're getting a decent comparison there. But if you want a slightly strong long style Gunlance, then now you actually have a decently strong long style Gunlance. Although I would say realistically right now, wide normal is about the only way that one's really super viable, but whatever. That's Gunlance is an odd man out. But that pattern kind of holds true for pretty much everything else. You want a really good lightning weapon, Lagiacrus weapons are your go-to. If you like Steve's gimmick, where he gives you that special sharpen status from doing dodges, which apparently we're still not 100% certain how that works out on this one, whether it gives you an extra layer of sharpness, boosts your sharpness, adds an extra damage multiplier on top of it. Not 100% certain, haven't seen any clear-cut data on that yet. But if you like the idea of that mechanic, then those weapons are definitely worth at least playing around with to see how they compare to your other stuff. Now, if you notice me right here, I'm sitting on the question mark tree, which there's a couple weapons that have that right now. Odds pretty good they're event quest weapons. Which ones? I don't know. But that means they've thrown in a couple of points where some of the future event quests are actually going to start having weapons, which is good. Those are usually the event quests that are actually fun to do. So that means we're finally going to get some actually entertaining event quests outside of the ones that involve arc-tempered monsters. Because, let's be honest, a lot of the gear is gimmicky. Sometimes you get something like Star Knight back in the day that the armor's just wildly overpowered. But usually the only ones that you really have a whole lot of drive to do are the weapon ones. Now, that being said, let's take a peek at the actual armor here in just a minute. I'm going to scroll through and show some other weapons. Just throw this out there up front. I'm just throwing the footage of me going through and looking at the weapons up front. This will replay after each of the respective fights. But this video is really just a couple comments, and then I'm going to stop talking and let the fights and things play out as they are. Now, what about the armor? Well, Lagiacrus has a bit of an interesting spin on his, where the sort of set actually gets this little bit of feedback in it, where it seems to ramp up the amount of lightning damage that you get over time based off of a few little things you got to do. It's an interesting set. They look really good. So, as far as fashion hunting goes, they're drinking well with this, but the skills and stuff on it itself, they actually do both this and Seregios. Seregios' gear as well looks like it has enough stats on it and enough interesting skills that I'm sure for some mixed sets it'll actually be worthwhile to fit in. One problem with mixed sets anymore really is the set bonuses that they put on have made it to where the motivation to do mixed sets has kind of dropped a little bit, because a lot of the times the overall bonuses really push you to have at least so many pieces from one cohesive set. But you do at least still have a little bit of wiggle room typically for at least one piece. So there may be some ways to use Seregios or Lagiacrus to squeeze in a couple extra points for a particular skill on the set that you're using. Then you factor in stuff that's coming in later on, which will be things like those more powerful talismans. And stuff for armor looks like it might be opening up a little bit. I don't know that weapon usage is going to open up until we actually get something that's more of an end-game level threat. So, I don't know, let's just throw this out there. If Gogmazios is actually something that's going to eventually come down the line, that might be a monster that would actually introduce a weapon that's going to be stronger than Ardian weapons. But I don't think they're going to kill off Ardian weapons as far as them being the dominant ones until we get probably towards something like Title Update 4. Yeah, they had that system get knocked out a little bit earlier in Baseline World, where they introduced Kulve Taroth in the second update. But there was plenty to grind in World besides just weapons, so it wasn't like they were starved for systems. They'll introduce another grinding system in Title Update 3 through the Talismans, then after that, it'll have room to give us something that actually knocks out one of the other grinds. So, I don't know, I would say Title Update 4 will actually get some better weapons compared to what we've got in the game right now. But speaking of weapons, they finally introduced layering for weapons. And the way it works, to unlock the appearance for a particular tree, you just have to get to the max upgrade for that tree. And from what I understand, that unlocks not just that appearance, but all of the prior appearances if the appearance has changed as you went up the upgrade path for it. Which is cool. That's a pretty friendly system. Because previously there's been a bunch of weird little things you've had to do to actually get your layered system in check. This one, really straightforward. It was really easy after opening it up to actually go in, and I haven't done it yet. I do Gemma's little side quest to do the fashion thing, and once I do that I realize I actually have the weapon stuff unlocked, and so I go through and actually make my weapon match my outfit at this point. Because I've been using the Guardian Arkveld weapon for a very long time now, so it's actually kind of nice having a different appearance on the weapon for it. But having a weapon appearance out there looks nice. They added in a few extra decorations if you've been doing some fishing stuff, so you can get a few decorations in there. Okay, I'm gonna pin a little thought over to the side. And first, let's talk about the fights. Okay. Both Lagiacrus and Seregios are good fights. The monsters hold up well in the modern era. They have updated them to work well with the environment. Lagiacrus is not a pushover on land like he used to be. It's a fun fight, and Seregios is still a fun fight. They ramped up his speed just enough to make it fitting. He doesn't feel like he's dancing around. I know sometimes he would feel overwhelmingly fast in some of the older games, but you were also overwhelmingly fast. They've adjusted the pace of the fight to fit well with this game. Both the monsters have really cool attacks. They have a lot more reactivity to what you do to them. They just require a little bit of thought. In addition to that, I've only fought 8-star tempered Seregios. I haven't had a chance to fight 8-star tempered Lagiacrus, but I can say Seregios was really knocking the hell out of my health. Like, with just some standard attacks. So, people should be starting to be kind of satisfied with difficulty. I'll just be blunt. At this point, with these guys 8-star, once a lot more of the stuff gets upgraded to where it's available as 8-star, if they're all tuned around the same difficulty these two are, if you're not satisfied with the difficulty, then I'm sorry, but I think that you're wanting significantly harder fights than what the vast majority of the player base actually really wants. I'm sorry that you're good enough at the game that you need something super ultra challenging, and I'm not opposed to having 1 or 2 fights in the game like that, like something sort of towards the end, a pinnacle style fight. I do think this game will build its way up to that. I think in update 4 or 5 we'll have something that'll actually be at that level of challenge. But I don't think every single monster in the game needs to have a mode that would be, I don't know, the WoW equivalent of a high-end mythic raid. Like, there's no real point in making it that hard. I think the game has a decent challenge at this point with the 8-star versions of these two guys and what they're doing with the 8-star monsters. Overall, most of the game is still super easy. At least, you know, what you would expect out of a high rank. It's pretty easy. I still don't think I agree with people saying that it's overall easier than prior games. I think that is a lot of just people being so used to the series at this point that high rank only games might not really have a place in this ecosystem, which brings me to another thought that I had. When I saw that they added in some rewards for decorations regarding fishing stuff, and then got to really thinking about weapon layering being separated out from armor layering. Just a few other little things in there, like Xochitl, the high rank version not coming with the game, but coming with a patch. I haven't seen a lot of people say it, but that's starting to really make me think that, unlike the traditional stream of stuff that comes out post-launch, that this is more like what happened with Monster Hunter Rise, where a lot of the post-launch content is actually stuff that was intended to be in the baseline of the game, but either got cut for one reason or another. That would also explain why PC ports were in such dire shape. If they really pushed and they shipped a game that just wasn't completely ready. But they'd been primarily focusing on getting the console stuff polished up because they're familiar with console, they know how to do that. They didn't quite get the PC things ready because turns out they're just not that good at it, and realistically might have needed about another year in development. That suddenly makes a lot of things make quite a bit more sense, and it makes some of the little things that we've been getting in the updates actually make more sense as well. Because some of this stuff you just don't bake up on spur of the moment and then just throw it in as a patch. They always do monsters post-launch. That's no surprise. I'm not terribly surprised that Lagiacrus got a title update because it's a big deal that he's back in the game. So saving him for one of the post-launch monsters, not a bad idea. It could be a potential seller for the game in and of himself. But Xochitl, just the final boss of the game, not having a high rank version baked into the beginning of the game, that's weird. So, I don't know. I'm starting to think that the game needed about another 6 months to a year to really bake and finish out and be in a better place when it ships. So, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope they actually did have the game completed and these were just, I don't know, oversights in production. But I would not be terribly surprised if Capcom, being a AAA publisher, a big mega billion-dollar corporation, didn't really push to keep it launching at the fiscal window that it needed in order to make the profitability that it needed. Now, what cost is that going to come at? A lot of faith in the quality of future games. But, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully that wasn't the case. Hopefully this has just been a little bit of a misstep and they find a way to sort of build goodwill back up with the community at large. But, I don't know. We'll see. Either way, I feel like the game's moving in a good direction, and the content's actually getting into a better place. But we'll continue seeing. I want to see some previews as to what's coming in the title update 3. I want to see some sort of sneak peek about what monster to be expected. And what I really want is I want an actual end-game monster. Like, I want something that is a clear, definitive winner as far as its armor. Something to put in, like a Cold Turoth, or so I know, or at least I think they said something about there not being plans to do a siege monster at the moment. That was actually kind of a cool mechanic. And it's a shame if they just decide to discard it completely, especially since this game seems like it'd be a great one to have something like that in. But, whatever. We'll see what they've got planned. I'm sure they've got something interesting up their sleeve. At the very least, I'll definitely keep coming back for the title updates and playing around with it and seeing what they come up with, but probably just not going to pump as much time into it as what I originally thought. Well, I'm enjoying it. I still think it's a 9 out of 10 game, if you can play it. I feel bad for the PC players that can't, that really want to. But hopefully we'll get there sooner rather than later. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. Remember, if I could beat it, so can you. Have a good night.
That's our target now? Exhaustion. Prepare for capture.
Lagiacrus! You're unbelievable! Now it's my turn to get to work. I'll have this amazing specimen studied ASAP.